This next video is going to cover our favorite exercises or drills for core strength and anti-rotation for tennis and pickleball players. All right, so it's super important to keep your core super resilient and strong. This is going to help you prevent back strains, which is one of the most common injuries we see in our tennis and pickleball players, especially during those hard strokes and serves when you have a lot of rotation going on and you're putting a ton of force into it. This core strength is going to help you out immensely. And a lot of the issue where people run into when they're trying to train their core is that they don't actually simulate the demands of the sport. So tennis and pickleball are very dynamic, require a lot of rotation. And if you're just training straight neutral spine motions like planks, you're doing yourself a huge disservice. Okay, so these are going to give you a couple ideas just to kind of mix up your core routine and make it a little bit more sport specific. Okay, so the first one we're going to go over is a Paloff Press. So what you're going to need for this one is just a resistance band. You're probably going to want to start out with something relatively light, see how it feels. So a Paloff Press is an anti-rotation drill. So what you're going to be doing is kind of holding yourself in a little bit of a mini squat position. And I'll show you a couple of different modifications and progressions to make this harder as well. So you're going to start with the band, kind of bunch it up so that your hands can stay in a neutral position. You don't want to be like here or here or anything, just kind of keep your hands nice and neutral. You're going to get into a little bit of a squat position, and the band here is trying to pull me to the right, okay? So in order to keep the band straight and not let the band pull me like it's trying to do, I have to activate my obliques and use my core to pull it into the center. So then once you get into the center, you're going to press out and in. Anytime you are taking your limbs and moving them away from your body or from midline, that's going to challenge that core, okay? So you're here, straight out, straight in. This band is pretty light. I can probably go a little bit heavier in order to feel this more. So it's going to just vary based on your strength and how everything feels for you, okay? So if you want to make this harder, you can change your position. You can, of course, add more resistance. That's one way. Or you can kind of go on one leg. That's much harder. You can do that both ways too, and of course you would turn around and do the other way. You can also go into like a lunge position too. And go here. You can also hold it and kind of go here, maintain the hold, and then go into a kind of split squat like this. So lots of different variations for that one. We love Paloff presses for our tennis players and our pickleball players, okay? That's the first one. The next one I'm going to show you is a bird dog. So this can also be modified in many different ways. Similar premise to the Paloff press, where you are working to kind of control that rotation force as your limbs are being moved away from your body, okay? So for this one, you're going to get down on the floor. You're going to start in all fours, and then I'll just show you the whole movement, and then I'll show you how to make it a little bit easier and a little bit harder after. So full movement, you're going to kind of stack your knees under your hips, wrists under your shoulders. And what you're going to do, here I'll turn to the side a little bit so you can see better. What you're going to do is try to lift opposite arm, opposite leg, straight out. And what's going to happen is you're going to want to do this, right? And you have to use your core and your glutes to kind of keep everything nice and stable. And you would alternate back and forth. So what you don't want to do is this. This is what I see a lot of people doing when they're doing bird dogs, okay? That's going to put a lot of stress on your low back. So you don't want to have that extension in your back. You want to keep everything nice and neutral. Squeeze this glute as you go to kick it out. Keep everything nice and strong and stable here, and alternate sides. To make this easier, you can take one of the limbs away, okay? So instead of doing arm and leg, you can simply just do leg or just do arm to make this easier, right? Legs only or arms only. Okay, to make this harder, and I can barely even do this, so bear with me here. To make this harder, you can lift your knees off and try to keep everything stable that way. Whew, that's tough. You'll feel that one a lot in your quads. Okay, so that's our second one that we like for core strength and anti-rotation. You can see how these are a little bit different than just kind of holding a plank, right? It's a little bit more dynamic, which is similar to how the sport is actually played, okay? And then the last one I'm going to show you is going to be a squat with a press out. So combining from our last video about strength, we're going to take the squat and make it harder by adding an extra core strength component. So what you're going to do is take a weight. It can be a dumbbell or a kettlebell, whichever you prefer. What you're going to do is get into the bottom of your squat, and then you're gonna take the weight and press it out away from your body. So you wanna make sure you're staying super tight here, because this will hurt your back if you're not activating those core muscles properly. So you're here, out, in. Okay, so that's combining strength of your legs, of course, and your core together. Your core is activated just doing a squat alone. This is just adding an extra little additional difficult core aspect, I'll say, to the exercise. So obviously the heavier you go with that one, the harder it's gonna be. So those are 3 of our favorite core strength and anti-rotation drills, a little bit more specific to the sport than just your typical plank or crunch or anything like that. So hopefully you guys found these helpful, and continue on below to see our speed and agility video.